Hello everyone. This story is about, what if Naruto was adopted by Guy and fell for Kurenai? Please like, share and subscribe. Now let's start. Naruto sighed, unhappy that he was going to be spending time away from his new girlfriend. It didn't help that the Hokage he admired most was joining him on this trip, rather, it made him nervous about presenting himself even better than he usually did. Mato-san, would you mind telling me of some of your skills while we wait for your new master? I find myself curious after hearing about your victory over the Ichibi. Naruto turned and looked at Tobirama, silent for a few moments as he tried to order his abilities. I am a master of Goken Taijutsu, am skilled with both traditional and variant Kenjutsu with my weapon, the new Ibari, am capable in Fuinjutsu. Have training from the foremost expert on Genjutsu in the village, and have a variety of Futon and Suiton techniques. My most notable abilities are the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Suiton. Suiryu no Mugen no Mai, access to the first two of the Hashimen. And use of the Kyuubi's chakra on a minor level. Naruto had been hoping for a reaction when he mentioned two of the Nidame's personal creations. But the man had just sat silently and contemplated the information he received. Interesting. Given your heritage and burden, having the chakra capacity to use my original techniques is unsurprising, though the fact that they have been taught to you is another matter. Based on your description, the decision to be apprenticed was based on a wish either for the status that such a position would give you, unlikely with the announcement of your parentage, or a wish to study ninjutsu with greater variety. I believe that I may assist your training on this trip, your potential is too great to ignore. Tobirama nodded as he finished his assessment of Naruto's skills. The newly minted Chunin rooted in place as he tried to absorb the idea that his undead hero would be teaching him. Of course, as soon as he remembered the Nidame's mentioning of his parentage. People of Konohagakure, listen closely to the words of your Hokage. This concerns one Mato Naruto, formerly Uzumaki Naruto. When he was brought into the orphanage, many despised him. He was even removed from the orphanage under pretenses of worrying for the safety of the rest of the orphans there. When taken in by Mato Guy, the village still ignored him, pretending that he didn't exist. Now, certain secrets kept since his birth may be revealed. The crowd that had gathered to hear the Hokage's announcement all stared up at the screen that had been set up for them, wondering what would be revealed. Would their children finally know about the Kyuubi, or was it something else that even they didn't know? All of Naruto's friends were in the crowd, most of them already knowing what was going to be announced. Sasuke had told Kiba, and right now, the boy was struggling not to laugh at the looks of confusion on the villagers' faces. Mato Naruto was not just some random orphan chosen by the Yondaime to seal the Kyuubi, as most in the village are already aware. He is the only son of Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato. All of the time that you glared at the boy, and hated him for something that wasn't his fault and you didn't understand. You were glaring at the only living link to the Hokage you all cheered as a hero. As he has become Chunin, I have decided that he has earned his inheritance and the right to be recognized for who he is. That is all. As soon as the screen shut off, the entire crowd burst into chaos, shouts about needing proof and accusations of falsity meeting with loud attempts to apologize to one of the heroes of the invasion. Naruto himself was standing on the head of his birth father, listening in silence to both the angry questioning and the sincere admissions of gratitude. He looked up as the person that had been a father to him clapped a hand on his shoulder, proud tears barely holding their place. Everyone knows now, son. Listen, many of them support you, already able to recognize you like you deserve. I couldn't be prouder of you, not even if I was your original father. Naruto smiled back as his dad managed to be completely serious and not mention youth. He knew that would likely change with his next words. You are the only father I've ever known, and that makes you the original to me. Guy broke and began crying, shouts of what might have been youth erupting from him as he embraced Naruto. Naruto just let him be the super emotional man that had raised him, glancing every once in a while as he thought he saw small tears coming from his eyebrows as well. Naruto ignored them and hugged his father back, closing his eyes to avoid seeing what the flames of youth decided was an appropriate backdrop for this hug. If he had left his eyes open, he would have seen that the sun was setting behind the monument already, and that the background hadn't changed one bit. The sound of wood hitting stone brought Naruto out of his reverie, seeing Jiraiya approaching him and the Nidaime. Alright, Naruto, this mission is to find my former teammate, Senju Tsunade. She probably won't want to return to Konoha, but we will convince her to come back. When we reach an area that she is likely to be, I will show you both a picture of her. Let's head out. The undead legend, aging hero, and young prodigy headed through the gates of the village. Kotetsu and Izumo spared a friendly wave for Naruto as the three left, giving light bows to the more well-known ninja. He smiled and waved back, refraining from freaking them out by making his teeth ping like his dad's. Tobirama and Jiraiya gave nods of acknowledgement to the guards as they headed out. Kakashi stopped short as he reached a rock outcropping, signaling for Sasuke to do the same. When Sasuke had heard that he was being given a mission for patrol, he hadn't thought that Kakashi would be in charge of it or that it would be near the border with Iwagakure. Kakashi-sensei, why are we stopping? Kakashi turned and gave his student an eye smile, with Naruto gone Kurenai had offered to help Kiba so that Kakashi wouldn't feel guilty leading this patrol. Not too long ago Kakashi and Sasuke had broken away from the rest of the patrol group, all of whom were Chunin. Well Sasuke, this patrol is real, but it is also a front for two other things. First, I'm to meet a spy of Jiraiya-sama's near the border, and second, I'm to begin giving you individual ANBU training. Hokage-sama was impressed with your silent assassination technique, so much so that he instructed me to teach you about my old specialization. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard that Kakashi was going to train him in ANBU techniques. He had forgotten that Kakashi had ever been a member of the shadowy group. I'm proud that you managed not to show off the Chidori to everyone at the exam, but it might have made less of an impression than creating your own B-rank kinjutsu. We are going to train immediately following my meeting with the spy. In particular, I'm going to teach you to use a sword and increase your ninjutsu. Sasuke looked at Kakashi solemnly for a few moments, before he made up his mind about something. Kakashi-sensei, there is something I really think I should tell you. Ever since Sakura died, I've been having pains in my eyes when I use the Sharingan. Even more, something my vision improves even further than it usually does, but my chakra starts decreasing much faster than it should. Kakashi's one eye widened, but quickly returned to normal. Sasuke, I know more about the Sharingan than anyone living save Itachi and the Hokages. I had the same trouble for some time after my old teammate Rin died, and I've only recently started to figure out what it is. When I spoke to the Hokage, he mentioned the Manjikyu Sharingan, an enhanced form that increases all of the Sharingan's abilities, but simultaneously goes blind the more it is used. If you want to learn to use it, I won't stop you. However, that will have to wait until Tsunade is brought back, since if anyone can create a way to slow or remove the massive side effects it is her. Sasuke nodded to his teacher, glancing towards the border as a man with flaming red hair and armor walked towards them, no visible guard in his stance. So, you're the one that crazy toad sent? He's lucky I talked to him, let alone lackeys like yourselves. Doesn't matter, IWA has no plans to invade at the moment, what with an immortal Nidame in Konoha and all. Kakashi nodded, taking a scroll out of his flak jacket and handing it to the man. Thank you, Rashi-san. This is a message from Jiraiya-sama. There is a group of S-ranked ninja asking about the Jinchuriki. We do not know whether it is to get them to join the group or something more heinous. More information is in that scroll. The so-called Rashi examined the seal on the scroll, before shrugging and heading back to the mountain he was on. Well Sasuke, let's see about finding you someplace to train now, eh? I think it's about time we took a break. Naruto, come over here for a moment. Jiraiya was holding a scroll in his hand, as well as a thin book with the name Namikaze Minato on it. This scroll holds your new symbol of rank, and this book is both a gift and a new training tool. This book is the only one of its kind, unfinished and never published due to the Kyuubi attack. Inside is the technical theory for using Fuinjutsu without using hand signs, or blood or ink. Basically how to materialize a seal through physical contact. The book I read on this matter was close to 10 times this thick, and an inefficient training tool. Naruto reached out and grabbed both items, putting his flak jacket on underneath his coat. He flipped open the thin manuscript, and quickly began reading. Naruto had never particularly enjoyed reading, he just did it because it could make him a better ninja. Tobirama stared at the two as they sat, not really sure why now was the time to stop. Jiraiya, would you come over here and speak with me for a moment? Jiraiya immediately stood and walked to the elder ninja. Glancing back at Naruto as he sat on the fallen log in the clearing, they stopped in. Jiraiya, there are a number of things that have been bothering me about you since we met, and since you feel it prudent to stop now, I would address them. Jiraiya motioned for Tobirama to keep speaking, leaning against a tree by the road. You are the strongest ninja in the village right now, and you are well liked and more intelligent than you appear. Simply put, why are you not the Hokage right now? Jiraiya turned pale at the accusatory tone in his superior's voice, waving his hands in front of the irritated zombie. Hey. I'm not the type to be Hokage. You might think I'm smart, but I don't inspire people like a Kage should. Besides, I'm too useful as a spy master to be stuck in one location all day. As Jiraiya continued to protest Tobirama's words, the former Hokage's anger continued to grow. While he was known for being a very calm and collected individual, his anger was legendary when it actually occurred. Stop. Jiraiya quit defending himself instantly, while Naruto practically turned to stone as he froze, and even the few noises the trees and birds made halted. You inspired a young man to grow strong and become Hokage. The current Hokage is just as much a pervert as you are. You could train anyone to take your place as spy master. Stop making excuses and answer my actual question. Why do you refuse to take the position and lessen both the burden on Hiruzen and the hostile intent on the village? Tobirama released the build of chakra that had been gathering inside him, allowing the forest to breathe again. I've been searching for something that I don't think I'll find cooped up in Konoha. According to prophecy, one of my students will bring peace to the world. I'm trying to find a path for him to walk down, give him enough of a head start that he does so in my lifetime. I know what I'm going to give Naruto, but I want to do as much as I can. Your true reason is more sensical, but just as invalid. Take a few more years to continue your wanderings, and you will likely be no closer to discovering peace as you are now. I long believed that peace could be found using laws and compromise. I was wrong. True peace is something only the one destined to find it will understand the path to, and that person isn't you. Now, our break is over, let us go to the closest town. None of the three spoke anymore as they walked on, lost in individual thoughts about what had been said today. Naruto was wondering if Jiraiya expected him to be the student to bring true peace, leafing through his new book as he pondered the idea of a world free from the threat of war. Jiraiya was contemplating whether he should continue to wander after Tobirama's advice. Maybe it would be better for him to become Hokage. Tobirama himself was considering the same thing as Naruto, though he also had far more thoughts running through his head. Maybe he could teach the boy the secret to creating water from nothing as so many foes had believed he could. He couldn't actually do that, he just turned the humidity present in the air into water. He could also externalize his chakra before turning it to water, giving the illusion of water created from nothing when fighting in a desert like Suna. They went straight to the inn closest to the edge of town when they made it there, getting a room that Naruto offered to stay in while they searched for Tsunade. That way he could send a toad to either of them if one of them came back. The two agreed and left, Naruto experimenting with putting storage seals on things using nothing but his chakra. The Chunin exams had succeeded to bring most of the competitors together, as proof one needed to look no further than Training Ground 17. While Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke were gone, all of those remaining had turned it into their personal training ground. Anko had joined as well, stating that it was only because Haku needed more variety in her training than just Anko's ninjutsu. Lee was currently unable to train, needing 3 months recovery from the way his lower legs had been crushed in the finals, but everyone else was there. Asuma had suggested they practice squad-on-squad combat, believing that his team would win easily as it contained both the only recently promoted Chunin and all 3 of its official members. Anko smirked as Haku offered to join Team Guy, seeing as they were the only team without 3 to begin with at the moment. All of the teams were currently making plans about what to do, trying to figure out all of the strengths and weaknesses their enemies had. 10-10, cover me from behind as I take Shikamaru. Without him, his team will be lost. Yuki-san, I don't know much about your abilities save they involve ice, but I want you to battle Hinata-sama. Haku looked at him in surprise. Not sure why he thought her the best choice to fight her. Hinata-sama has changed, as hard as that is for me to admit, but certain things remain the same. Ever since you came to this village, she has spent much time with you and is openly affectionate. She will hesitate to strike at you, don't allow her to regain enough poise to attack you. The conversation was going very differently among Team 8+, mostly due to Shino. Logically, we should attack those that we are most superior to. Kiba, attack Ino. She is more skilled than she appears, but you are too quick for her main offensive move. Hinata, strike for 10-10. She is used to fighting Niji, and your variant form will catch her off guard. I will attack Shikamaru, as his shadow can only control so many individuals, and my bugs are too numerous for him to fight. The 3 all nodded, Kiba remembering just how intelligent Shino was. Shikamaru sighed, not liking his team's odds in a fight like this. They were designed to capture single high-value targets, and few of their techniques were worth much in a group brawl. This is much too troublesome. Choji, Shino will attack me, as will Niji. Use your Nikuden Sensha to drive Niji back from me, while I catch him in my shadow. Ino, take over 10-10 as soon as you can, she will most likely be stationary as she throws her weapons. If we can take out all of Niji's team from behind, the element of surprise will help us against Shino. I will need to split my shadow to grab Kiba, but I will most likely be rendered unconscious soon after. The three teams readied themselves, moving the moment Anko called for them to start. The first move was done near simultaneously, Shikamaru using his Kagekuba Shibari as Haku charged Hinata and Kiba flew at Ino. Kiba was caught instantly, though Niji managed to avoid the tendril sent at him. Until Choji rolled at him, pushing him back where a second tendril of shadow had gathered in his blind spot. Ino's body slumped to its knees, as Tenten began throwing her multitude of weapons at Niji, Haku, and Kiba. The two caught in Shikamaru's jutsu were knocked unconscious, just before Shikamaru himself dropped from the Kakacha that had stolen his chakra. Haku and Hinata were in a stalemate, an ice dome, defending them both from Ino. Neither of the two really wanted to hurt the other, but they knew it was just training. Choji tied up Tenten's body, allowing Ino to get back into her own, only to scream as she was swarmed by Shino's bugs. Choji turned to go help her, but was blindsided by a Katan, Gakakyu no Jutsu, as he did so. Haku realized that she was the only one left on any team not Hinata's, and tried to salvage the situation by escaping into her dome. As soon as she did so, however, Hinata entered the stance for her hack, Rokujuyenshu. The familiar crackle of lightning filled the air, as small cracks spiderwebbed throughout the massive shield. Shino followed up, hitting the other side with a Katan, Hausenka no Jutsu. As soon as the shield broke, Haku surrendered. The group gathered by Naruto's favorite ramen stand, as Kurenai got to pick lunch when her team won. She, Asuma, and Anko all looked at two figures clothed in tall black robes with straw hats, eyes narrowed in suspicion. The genin looked around for their sensei as they began to eat, none of them having noticed them leaving. Niji and Hinata both activated their Byakugan, shaking their heads when they realized none of them were in visible range. Halt. Who are you, and why are you in Konoha? The two men turned to look at a small gathering of jounin, none of which gave them much pause. Asuma already had his trench knives out, taking up a stance in front of the others. I asked a question, now answer it. The taller figure chuckled, while the shorter just sighed as he pulled off his straw hat, revealing his face to the shock of the onlookers. Hello Asuma, I believe you were still one of the 12 when I left. It has been quite a while since I saw any of you. The second most wanted man in Konoha was standing in front of them, acting as though his presence was no stranger than a cloudy summer day. Uchiha Itachi, former prodigy shinobi, former ANBU captain, and murderer of an entire clan, stared down the three in front of him, face completely devoid of emotion. As for that second question, just here to find the Yandame's son. Kurenai's glare sharpened, her chakra raising to cast one of her more dangerous genjutsu on the traitor. I will not let you hurt Naruto-kun. Megan, Kokwanjio no Jutsu. Itachi was thoroughly surprised that she had managed to cast such a high-level genjutsu so quickly, and without any hand seals. He knew that the technique would be quickly dispelled by his partner, and he looked to where he knew she would be when the darkness ended. As the giant tossed off his hat and attacked the other two jounin, Itachi escaped from Kurenai's jutsu and locked eyes with her, his Sharingan shaped like a three-pointed shuriken. Tsukuyami. Immediately, Kurenai realized that something terrible was happening. The world became an odd, monochrome black/red/white combination, the sun being black and the sky red. This is my realm of illusion. No matter how talented at genjutsu you are, you will not escape. Now, your reaction tells me you are close to Naruto, maybe close enough to tell me where he is? Kurenai shook her head as much as she could, bound to a cross behind her. The next thing she knew, she could feel her heart being ripped from her body with a flaming blade. She wanted to scream badly, but she would never betray Naruto, or give this man the satisfaction. Don't worry, I can only do that a few thousand more times in the 3 days we have alone together. Kurenai began to shiver as she felt that pain start again, becoming more and more intense every time it happened. As far as Asuma and Anko could tell, Kurenai had simply collapsed after looking the powerful Uchiha in the eyes. Their targets left hurriedly as the Sandaime and a group of ANBU arrived, neither particularly competent in beating the Kami no Shinobi with a full detail of bodyguards. What happened? Why was Itachi here? His son looked back at him, sorrow filling his eyes as he saw Anko cradling Kurenai's form. He was looking for Naruto. Kurenai became enraged and used the Shodame's genjutsu on him, but it broke and he looked her in the eyes. She just dropped afterward, I'm not sure what he did. Hiruzen sighed but ordered 2 of his ANBU to help Anko take her to the hospital. He returned to his office, sending some chakra into the messenger seal that would summon one of Jiraiya's toads into the office, giving it the message about what had happened. Naruto turned as a puff of smoke appeared in the room, the small toad that showed up giving him a letter and returning to where it came from. Naruto dropped the letter soon after reading it though, clutching at his chest as his breathing quickened. His eyes turned red and he could feel the QB pushing its power to him through the seal. Just as he moved to leave the room, however, Tobirama appeared in a blur and slammed a Gogyo Fuin in his gut, knocking him to the ground. He read the letter himself, before glancing at Naruto in sadness. Young man, you have borne far more than a normal amount of pain. That is the fate of the Jinchuriki. You can bear this as well. Naruto's face was scrunched up in pain that was obvious in spite of his unconsciousness, whether from the emotional pain or the physical, Tobirama couldn't tell. He did know one thing for sure though, and that was that the Uchiha who had attacked the boy sensei was unlikely to survive an encounter with him. He sat down and watched the door, making himself ready in case the ones that had snuck into Konoha had discovered Naruto's location. They would have more than an angry Jinchuriki to deal with if they had. And few ninja born in the last 100 years had even half the percentage of power available to Senju Tobirama in his current form. Naruto moaned and rubbed his stomach as he sat up, trying to remember when he had fallen asleep. He shot to his feet as everything came back to him, though a hand on his shoulder stopped him from running out of the room. I read what happened to your sensei, young one. There is nothing that we can do for her at the moment. Jiraiya told me that my niece is a medic, we should find her and have her heal your sensei when we get back. Naruto spun on his heel to face Tobirama, pain flaring in him as he stared down his hero. She's not just my sensei. I'm going to find the bastard that did this to her, and I'm going to tear out his eyes for the pain they caused her. The Nidaime shook his head. Experienced and intelligent as he was, he knew that Naruto had feelings for the woman teaching him. He would try to calm the boy down, though he wouldn't mind seeing this Uchiha have his eyes removed. Someone else spoke just before he could continue trying to calm Naruto down. She had better just be your sensei. You might be a chunin now, but your body isn't physically ready for performing any of my favorite activities with a woman. Naruto looked past Tobirama to see Jiraiya standing in the window. Anger showing in his visage. I'm serious, Naruto. You have to tell me if she's touched you anywhere, or done anything like that. Naruto glared at his future master, but answered him anyway. No, you pervert, nothing fit for your books has happened. In case you've forgotten, Kurenai is my best friend as well as sensei. Shikamaru and Choji are good friends too, and Sasuke is surprisingly on his way there, but Kurenai knows me best. Obviously Dad and Lee aren't being counted in this. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes in suspicion, but let the subject go. Alright. I have a lead on Tsunade leaving this village for the big tournament in Tanzakugai, so we'll head there now. Naruto, I have one of Minato's techniques for you to practice on the way. You need to pop a water balloon with your chakra. I'll let you figure out how, since he made me figure it out the same way. A scroll that was likely filled with water balloons was handed to Naruto. Tobirama halting him before he could try the exercise. I sealed your chakra last night, you will not have the control to do such an exercise without me releasing it first. 5 flaming symbols appeared on Tobirama's hand once more. Before he struck Naruto in the stomach hard enough to knock him to the ground. Gogyo Kaiin. Tobirama ignored Naruto's angry look, instead moving forward his own plans. Now, Naruto, I have decided to show you the secrets to my manipulation of water, and I will give you what aid I can in unlocking the Yondaime's version of my technique. Naruto's anger fled his body, happiness making him feel almost as good as he had when they had first left for this mission. Instead of a maybe, you have high potential, he now had a guarantee that his favorite Hokage would train him. His excitement crashed back to reality when he began to envision how happy Kurenai would be for him, remembering the letter stating that Itachi had put her into a coma. Naruto followed the 2 Kage-level shinobi out of the hotel, knowing that his reason to find Tsunade was different than when they had began. He took one of the water balloons Jiraiya had given him when they got onto the road, trying to figure out exactly how he was supposed to use his chakra to burst it. He could always just squeeze it until it popped, but that wouldn't meet the requirement Jiraiya had given him. He sighed, he would have to have Jiraiya give him an example of what it looked like first. Sasuke grunted as he struck the ground, grasping his ribs. He stabbed the end of his Chikuto into the ground with his left hand, struggling to get onto his knees. That's enough, Sasuke, we need you to have some stamina, in case anyone probes our borders. Kakashi walked over and helped his student to his feet, ruffling his hair when he stood up. You're doing well, soon, I'll be able to teach you some ANBU-specific ninjutsu. Sasuke smiled at his sensei as he stood up, wincing from the kick that Kakashi had landed to end their training. Sasuke lowered the mask he had gotten from Kakashi for making Chunin enough that he could take a drink from his canteen, returning its position on his face when he finished. Sensei, how come you gave me a mask like this and never told me how to eat or drink through it? I like the way it looks and feels, but it's kind of inconvenient. Kakashi chuckled as they walked back to camp, before handing Sasuke a piece of paper with a few kanji on it. There is nothing to teach, just a few ninjutsu to apply. Hold that to your mask and channel chakra into it, and you'll be able to mystify people just like I do. Sasuke smiled and took the paper. Life had been looking up for him lately, and his thoughts on Itachi had become more hopeful. With the Manjikyu, and possibly Kakashi's help, he was certain that he would be able to draw the truth out of his brother. He would decide from there if killing Itachi was still the correct action. Hinata and Haku were currently in the hospital, checking over Kurenai. While not as close with her sensei as Naruto, she remembered all the advice the older woman had given her, and the time they had spent together when Kurenai escorted her to the academy. Do you really think that Tsunade-sama will be able to heal this? We can't even really tell what's wrong. Haku rubbed her girlfriend's back, gently trying to comfort her. I can't know for sure, but she is the greatest medic and kunoichi that ever lived. If anyone can help Kurenai-san, it's her. Haku slowly embraced Hinata, caressing her shoulders to relax her. The tender moment was ruined with a knock at the door, Anko and Yugao walking into the room. So far, the only positive that had come from this was that Yugao had finally stopped spending quite so much time at the memorial stone. Come on girls, visiting hours are over. Kurenai will be fine when Tsunade gets here, just have faith in the team that Sandaime-sama sent after her. The two filed out after one more quick glance from Hinata to her sensei, leaving the two jounin alone in their friend's room. I really hope that Naruto doesn't know about this. Him committing suicide trying to kill Itachi isn't in anyone's interests. Yugao looked over at Anko, wondering if that was her real reason. I think you just want to go after him yourself. Believe me, I understand. You, Kurenai, and oddly Kakashi-senpai are the only ones that have been able to help me since Hay-8. I can't stand the idea of losing anyone else. Anko dropped her gaze onto Kurenai's face once more, eventually turning away from her two best friends. Maybe you're right, but after that scuffle with the pedo snake, I know I don't stand a chance against either of our two biggest traitors. I just don't want Kurenai to wake up and find out her first love is dead. No matter how much I've messed with her, she's still my friend. They stayed in the room a few minutes longer, not leaving until the nurse that had asked them to tell Hinata and Haku to leave chased them out herself. Training on the road was frustrating. First, he couldn't make an army of training Kage Bunshin. Second, he didn't have total concentration on the exercise. Worst of all, he couldn't clear thoughts of his injured sensei from his mind, shattering what focus he was able to achieve. Today, they were resting at a small town 3 days away from Tanzaku-gai, so at least he was able to train a little. Naruto was rocked from his thoughts as one of the balloons finally burst, the demonstration he had received from Jiraiya finally sinking in. Immediately, all of the Kage Bunshin were dispelled, as Naruto changed his chakra flow to account for the new discovery. Jiraiya had eventually told him to rotate the water, but that hadn't done much. Now, however, he realized he could rotate the water in multiple directions. The balloon in his hands burst apart, reducing his stress levels for the first time since they had left the hotel 2 days ago. I see you completed the task, Naruto. Naruto turned to find Jiraiya and Tobirama cresting the hill he had taken as a training ground. It reminded him of the waterfall training ground his team used in Konoha. Good job, now you have to burst a rubber ball with chakra, like so. Jiraiya punctuated his sentence by exploding a hard rubber ball in his right hand. Naruto's face slowly growing more incredulous as they both stood there. Jiraiya-sensei, I think I might actually hate you. If there are other steps, tell me now so I can move on while we're here. I thought that learning from the only Sannin still active in Konoha would be cool, Databeo. Tobirama visibly started when he heard Naruto's exclamation. The young Chunin's ears burning in embarrassment from using that word in front of his idol. Jiraiya merely laughed until the Nidaime began speaking. Last time I heard something like that, Mito was cursing at Hashirama while giving birth. Of course, I was about a mile away, filling in for my brother at the Hokage Tower when this was happening. I've seen my brother stand up perfectly fine after full battles against the best the Hyuga and Kagaya clans had to offer at the time uninjured. But his right hand was broken and his whole right arm dislocated when I saw him next after that. Jiraiya and Naruto stared at the Nidaime, astounded as they had seen him practically shiver while telling them that story. The fact that Tobirama equated Naruto's verbal idiosyncrasies with a memory like that made him uncomfortable. He shook the thoughts about his distant family from his head, following the two of them to the hotel they had picked. Alright, Naruto, we are going to return to our search. Tobirama actually was going to keep asking to see if they had a chance of catching his niece before they reached the gambling town. But Jiraiya had gotten the eye from a pretty girl across from the inn. Naruto sighed as he finally blew apart the rubber ball, wishing that he had forced the next exercise from Jiraiya before the man had left. A knock on the door drew his attention, stopping his curses against the laziest man that had ever taught him. If not for the fact he really wanted all of this training, he would begin enforcing youth on the Gamasenin. An oddly familiar face met him as he opened the door, a question coming before he could think further. Sasuke? The man in front of him opened his mouth, Naruto quickly catching the differences he hadn't while he was distracted. Wrong Uchiha, Naruto-kun. If you could follow me, please? Naruto squashed the odd compulsion to follow the person in front of him, rather he moved to uppercut him, but was dodged. You're the one who hurt her. I'll kill you. Red chakra leaked from Naruto's body, his chains bursting from his back and launching themselves at his target. His eyes quickly slitted, and his teeth and nails elongated and sharpened. The shroud that had allowed him to stop Gato's thugs covered him once more, bathing the hall in an evil light. Itachi and his partner jumped back from the enraged Jinchuriki, his chains having broken Itachi's chance to make eye contact. Seems he found out about your trip into that woman's head, Itachi. Should I just cut his legs off? He won't be able to run away then. The straw hat the taller of the two Akatsuki had been wearing fell off, revealing blue skin and shark-like teeth. He was grinning madly while looking at Naruto, looking forward to sawing the young ninja's limbs off. No, we don't want him bleeding out. Of course, we don't want to waste the info we got from Kurenai-chan about his heading here. A roar of anguish came from Naruto, his cloak growing a second tail as he heard Itachi's words. More chains began floating around him, flickering as they weaved around the room. Itachi formed a single seal, inhaling deeply. Katan, Gukakyu no Jutsu. The ball of flames was held back by a barrier of woven chains, what small amount made it past blasted away with another roar. Kisame, get close and drain him. If he loses it and goes full on Kyuubi, we'll never get him. The shark man grinned even more widely, his sword kicking up a cloud of dust as it slammed into its target. Naruto was visibly unharmed and still in control of his chakra when the dust cleared, although something far more frightening was between the two S-class nukenin and their target. Senju Tobirama was glaring at the two in front of him, the arm that held the kunai that stopped the sword wasn't even trembling. Did you think a censor as well known as myself would fail to notice the chakra of both the Kyuubi and the current bearer of Samahata? Before my death, even all 7 of the swordsmen at once would have fled before me. A chain burst through Tobirama's body, holding him still long enough for the two Akatsuki to try and disengage. A burst of smoke came from the end of the hallway that they ran down, bringing with it even more trouble for the outlaw ninjas. The Gamasenin of Myobokuzen is here. Tremble in the presence of Jiraiya. They turned back to their previous position, only to see that Tobirama had extricated himself from the berserk Naruto's attack. Kuchios, Gamaguchi Shirbari. The floor and walls of the inn around them morphed into the esophagus of a toad, which quickly began trying to grab onto the nukenin. Kisame swung his Samahata at the surfaces trying to cling to them, stealing enough chakra that it settled back down. Just as Jiraiya and Tobirama came to their position, however, Itachi said a word that caused the Night Aim to grab onto the sage and teleport him further away. Amaterasu. Black fire flowed from Itachi's eyes, quickly burning a hole large enough to escape through into the walls. A puff of smoke signaled the use of a shunshin, showing that the enemy had managed to get away. Jiraiya, we need to leave as soon as Naruto is able. I knocked him unconscious for now, but he was completely berserk in his attempts to reach the one that hurt his sensei. It's unfortunate that I can't risk following them right now. But that attack can render even my immortal form worthless for an entire week. Jiraiya walked over to the lingering flames of the Amaterasu, sealing them into a scroll with the kanji for fire on it. The scroll quickly burned away, leaving no evidence save the gaping holes in the walls that there had been any fighting in the hotel. We will, but I think I should make a temporary suppressor in case this happens again. Hopefully finding Tsunade will relax him enough to keep him from flying off the handle again. They carried Naruto back into the room, both disappointed for separate reasons. Tobirama was upset that the child he found so promising hadn't managed to keep himself collected in this situation, even attacking the person he looked up to as an idol. Jiraiya was more frustrated in himself for nearly failing to keep his new apprentice safe. Without the Night Aim's assistance, he wouldn't have made it back in time to help. Waking up from unconsciousness was becoming unpleasantly familiar for Naruto, though he soon realized he had yet to actually awake when he saw the Kyuubi sitting before him. Ningen, you've disappointed me. All your talk about becoming strong, and all the confidence you had after stopping Shikaku's container, where are you now? Rolling around in pain after being dropped with one punch. Naruto glared at the Kyuubi, but soon hung his head in shame. I never thought I'd say this, but you're right. I let my emotions control me, and even attacked my greatest inspiration. I need to increase more than my skills and strength, I need to really learn control. Although, it's kind of heartwarming to know that you actually had expectations for me. I won't fail like that again. The QB snorted, whatever had caused it to call him to the seal apparently dealt with. See to it that you don't. You have high potential, for a ninjen, and I doubt that I'll be half as comfortable doing whatever the damned Uchiha wanted me for. At least I get to spend most of my time in you sleeping. I'll be freed when you die anyway, I've got plenty of time. Naruto ignored the morbid direction the Biju's thoughts had turned, shutting his eyes as he felt his body begin to wake. Naruto was glad to be back in the real world when he opened his eyes again, although he quickly spotted the somber looks on both of the grown men with him. Naidame-sama, I'm sorry. I lost control of my emotions and endangered everyone around us. Please forgive me, it won't happen again. Tobirama met Naruto's eyes, searching for something in his gaze. Just as Naruto began to feel uncomfortable, the former Hokage nodded his head. Jiraiya looked Naruto over quickly, wondering how trying to help him control the Kyuubi's power would go in the future. Naruto, we're leaving to Tanzakugai immediately. I saw the exploded ball in the room. The final step of the jutsu is to combine the first two, while keeping them contained in the area of a balloon the same size as the water one. You can practice on our way there. Naruto gave a light affirmative, standing and following the others out of their hotel. After a quick stop to apologize for the damages, they hit the road once more. Naruto managed to maintain his focus far better this time around, striving to keep Kurenai's condition out of his mind. Of course, Jiraiya hadn't told him that it had taken him 3 months to learn this technique, where Naruto looked like he may finish in a week. With cumulative Kage Bunshin time it was closer to 18 months, but that didn't matter. An incredibly busty woman with her blonde hair and pigtails and a purple diamond on her forehead blinked rapidly in shock. The slot machine that she had been playing was spitting out coins and ringing wildly as the jackpot lights flashed. Shizune, we're leaving. Grab the money and follow me. A brunette woman holding a small pig that wore a red coat and pearl necklace hurried to grab all of her mistress's winnings, following after her mentor as soon as she could. Tsunade-sama, can't we visit the castle here first? You said that I'd have time for sightseeing this time. Tsunade stopped in her tracks, looking back at her apprentice. She eventually nodded, turning to walk straight to the castle. The faster they were done, the faster she could get out of here. It had been quite a while since Shizune had gotten to do anything she wanted, certainly they could spare 10 minutes to look at a big building. Poor Shizune was not destined to be able to enjoy herself, however, as a giant snake smashed the castle within a couple minutes of arriving. Ah, Tsunade-hime, it's been quite some time. Both women started at the voice that had addressed Tsunade. Shizune moving in front of her mentor and grabbing the cord for the Senbon launcher on her arm. Orochimaru rose from the ground in front of them, followed by Kabuto. His trademarked creeper laugh followed his appearance as usual, bringing a tick mark to Tsunade's head and drawing a cold sweat from Shizune. Cuckoo. No need to be so on guard, girl, I'm not here for a fight. Somehow, the pleasant tone that Orochimaru spoke with just made Shizune's skin crawl, making her feel like just listening to him required a shower afterwards. If not a fight, what are you here for? Unlike the perv, I know you're not after my tits. Plus, you left Konoha, so this isn't to bring me back, what are you after? Orochimaru laughed again, stopping when Tsunade shattered the wall behind her with a light tap. I want you to join my village, Tsunade-hime. There are people there that could use your help. Of course, I don't expect you to join free of reward. I will bring your deceased lover and your little brother back to life if you do this. You don't need to answer now, but in 1 week, meet me outside the village with 2 sacrifices if you plan on joining. I'll see you in a week, Kukuku. You aren't going to help him, are you, Tsunade-sama? I mean, he invaded our home. Uncle D. Tsunade raised a hand for silence, cutting off any more words from her pupil. We aren't going to discuss this, Shizune. Let's just get to a bar. Shizune bit her lip as she followed Tsunade, hoping that her sensei would see reason. No matter what the oily snake offered, he was untrustworthy. If someone wanted evidence, he was an S-class nuke nin that had launched an invasion against his own home, attempting to kill his own sensei while doing so. Naruto wished that being a sensor nin was a trained ability every time he saw the Naidame search their vicinity for enemies by putting a finger on the ground. One small action, and a 5-mile radius was swept for chakra signatures. On the bright side, he was coming close to finishing the Rasengan, as Jiraiya had told him the technique's name. Technically, he already could do it, but he took far too much time in stabilizing the attack. I have found Tsunade's chakra. She is near the center of the village, with another above-average signature with her. Let's go. Naruto was getting more and more excited to finally meet the last of the Sannin. If things went right, they could be on the road to Konoha later today. The faster they found her, the faster Kurenai would be healed. That thought returned the last sentence he remembered hearing from Itachi to mind, however, about how he had learned from Kurenai where to find Naruto. He shook his head, dismissing that as impossible. Kurenai didn't have a clue where he was, only that he had gone out of the village. Tobirama stopped as he reached the place he had been leading the others to, disappointment coursing through him when he spotted a woman matching the picture Jiraiya had given him. It wasn't the incredible vanity of a woman making herself appear 30 years younger that generated that feeling. It wasn't the drunk blush on her face or her immodest clothing either. It was seeing his brother's necklace hanging on her, shaming the memory of the only other person he knew that had worn it. Suheim. We've been looking for you. Tsunade looked through her sake goggles to see the less Orochimaru of her two teammates walking up to her. This alone was rather surprising, though what she saw next had a far greater effect. You've grown far less than I would have hoped, Tsunade. Hashi would be ashamed of you right now. Seeing her long-dead great-uncle being more or less alive was more that Tsunade was currently able to take, causing her to faint not long after he finished speaking. Was it something I said? Everyone else has stayed conscious despite seeing me, and she is supposed to be as strong as you are? Jiraiya shook his head, grabbing the bridge of his nose. He was starting to wish that he hadn't brought the uptight zombie along. This was all for now. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it and that you will be back for more. Please like, share and subscribe. See ya.